I'm Larry Souder, and welcome to Souder and Friends. Bruce Jenner was probably best known for winning the gold medal in the men's decathlon at the 1976 Summer Olympics.
And as they come to the finish line, it is Bruce Jenner way out in front.
But in the year 2015, Jenner's notoriety changed when he was asked this question by Diane Sawyer on an American television news program.
Are you a woman?
Yes, for all intents and purposes, I am a woman.
Later, Jenner revealed a new female identity and assumed the name Caitlyn Jenner. That story prompted much discussion in America and the writing of a blog written by a 52-year-old woman and the mother of 4. Her name is LaVern Vivio. The title of the post on her blog, "I Wished I Had Been Born a Boy," may lead you to think that she is in favor of Jenner coming out as a transgender woman. But LaVern says she's thankful that no one tried to convince her that she was not what God made her to be.
The title is very telling because it's not "I wish," it's "I wished." It's ED, and it was intentionally ED because I had wished when I was a child I had been born a boy.
Why?
That's the point. Because I was more comfortable hanging out with the boys. You know, I grew up on a third-generation farm. I was the second girl on the farm. I naturally, because my sister had all the inside stuff covered, as you know, she shadowed my mother. I shadowed my father. I eventually had a brother born 5 years later, but it just was natural for me to tag along after Daddy. So I very naturally kind of fell into that tomboy mentality. I think because of my size, I am over 6 feet tall. I'm very big in stature. I'm built like a guy in a lot of ways, and so I think because of that and the fact that I stood apart in size compared like to my little feminine cousins who were just tiny and frail and you know that kind of thing. The typical little girl, I was not and could not understand why I couldn't be a boy when I was little. Well, then as I got older and, you know, the adolescence thing started happening, there was no interest at all in me from the opposite sex because I was such an oddity in size. I was not the one that they wanted to, you know, have as a girlfriend. So they got no attention in that regard. And I don't say that to be like, oh, I mean, it just is what it is.
Did you feel like an outcast?
Oh, very much so.
Were you bullied?
Very much so.
Really?
But I bullied right back.
In what way were you bullied, and how did you bully back?
One boy comes to mind that he and I actually had a chat recently, kind of like, yeah, we used to beat the snot out of each other. And I mean, well, because he would tease me and I would not take it and I would go back at him because that was the thing. I would be bullied, but I got tired of it and I fought back. And I was big enough to take them out. But yeah, I was bullied. I was bullied over my size. I was called all kinds of names. There's something about every one of us that somebody's going to pick out, tease you about, or, you know, and maybe some of us get it more than others. I don't know. But I think that was probably part of the reason why I just said, okay, they don't want to treat me like a girl, so I'm just not going to be a girl. And then as I started going into, you know, puberty, I literally told my mother I was not going to go through puberty, okay? The things that women, to become a woman, I was not going to do.
It's kind of tough not to do that, though.
Exactly. And I can remember very vividly as a child sitting at a lunch counter, and we were sitting there talking, and I just blatantly determined that's not going to happen. I'm not going to do that when they were telling me what to expect, right? And they giggled at me for years about that because, of course, you know, I could not control that. And I was devastated when I found out I couldn't be stubborn enough to prevent those things from happening. That is how convinced I was that I should be a boy at that age. Now, what would they have done with me today? If at that age, and I'm talking into, you know, 11, 12, 13 years old, I was, you know, devastated that I could not be a boy, that I had to deal with this aspect of, you know, growing into a woman. What would they have done with me today?
Would you have had a sex change operation?
No. No.
Did you desire that at one time?
No. I mean, because it was not something we were given as an option. That was the point of the blog. We are thinking in terms of things that we were never even told to consider in the 60s and 70s. And thank God, and I've had so many people reach out to me and write to me and say, I was thinking the same thing, because they were like me. They were very much identified, you know, men and women. I've had men that have said, you know, I'm a little girly, you know, I'm a little bit on the feminine side. We let people influence us and push us into things and talk us into things. I have so many friends of mine that they will tell you that the wrong person came in their path at the wrong time. And that's the reason they ended up on the path that they're on. And when we are telling our kids in kindergarten that maybe they're not a boy or a girl, dear God, what have we done? What prompted the blog? I wanted people to get the point. I wished I had been a boy, but it was when I was a kid. You know, not now.
What do you think of Bruce Jenner?
My heart breaks for him because I think he's very confused.
Should people try to change their sex?
No.
Why?
Because I am a Christian and I follow God's laws. And that's only, you know, if you are an atheist, if you're an agnostic or whatever, I can't speak to what your thought process is. My thought process is based upon, I know that God is God and that Christ is his son, and I follow their teachings and I follow their laws, period, bottom line. And that's the way we are made is the way we are made. I guess my point is, we all have the things that we struggle with, but you don't turn your life upside down and walk away from, dear God, the gender that God made you to be just because you have these feelings.
And you're happy in your own skin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
LaVern says she's thankful her life's path was exactly as it was, a path that led her to her husband and a love so complete that she could not imagine life without him. I'm Larry Souder, and that's Souder and Friends.